Well, so I'm in a bit of a mindset right now, so I like it because the brain's kicking up a little bit. It's a little bit about the past, just smidgements. But I don't know. I think that I learned too much too early on. So I was out of circulation. I was talking to you, so I'm just going to recap. That certain teachers that hated you, yes, and I know hate's a strong word, but it often felt like they did. Not because it's like, oh my god, no, I don't look at situations like that. I used to, but not really. It's because there's a lesson in it. There's a lesson in it, and I think that that's a good thing to do, is look for the lesson. I learn from shit. I think most situations that are quite hard, I try and learn, and I'm fascinated with the sort of grief stages as well in certain things, and it's a hell of a thing when it's you going through it yourself. You sort of you don't get used to it, but you just learn to learn it after a while. Gee me. So many weird circumstances with pets, yes? And Mus is just another one of a long list of just what's happened. When all three of those I was talking about, and the last one that got run over, wasn't one, it was three. So to understand that, that's just been a common feature, but it's always associated with establishments. But anyway, it doesn't really matter, but that's just the way it's almost seemed in that way. And some people may have suggested things, like when certain things happen, shall we have hot dogs? Like those sort of innuendos that it's just so out the blue, they've never spoke like that before. Or a chicken. Oh, do you feel like chicken tonight, do you? Do you fancy some hot dogs? Yeah, I think I'll have some hot dogs. There are some very weird sort of jabs, or the latest one is, or if you were to put in a cat flap, the pronunciation on the word cat and flap, maybe it's just coincidence, but those are little subtle jabs, or barbs, I call them. Anyway, so certain people that hate you, they then, when I was out of circulation, some teachers were very mutual in that situation, right? You're in a room somewhere, you've been in there for a very long time, rah-de-rah-de-rah. See a lot of kids through a glass pane. I didn't have breaks. I had a little bit of lunch break. It's not the reason why I'm saying it. Maybe I was just a difficult kid. Child psychologists, rah-de-rah-de-rah. Did some tests, but there was nothing wrong with me. But again, sort of home life was the same as well. Either be in your room, and that would be it. And you was never allowed to talk, socialize, or do anything else. And hit and miss, shades of grey. Yes, this has come over to me in my adult life as well. Intermittently, sometimes you feel the courage of the world. You know, you're non-stoppable, and then other times you're just very secluded. But it's very shallow conversations and different things like that. You learn to get deep in the mind. So I guess deep in thought makes deep in physical, or out in physical, so you get in a bit more deeper mindset, I suppose. Sometimes I look at it and it's abusive, and sometimes I look at it and it's interesting. Maybe there's some levels to be taught because it's a teacher or something. And there's certain teachers kind of are neither nor, but others created this sort of vibe, this atmosphere, this sort of this. I can always remember it. It's like it's almost like they had an intention of, you can feel hate. You can feel it. Is that your choice? No, there seems to be an atmosphere. Before I spoke to certain people, I had to read them to know where the ground lied, and then perhaps I was automatically reading their emotional cues. I don't know. Not like someone sat down and taught me them. It was just that it was quite a tightrope. If you fall one way, you're falling into a pit of alligators, everything's snapping and everything else. If you fall the other way, you're falling into a rainbow feather experience, right? And it was very nice. So I often had a lot of this. And yes, from teachers, and yes, from parents, and yes, from certain, perhaps it's me, perhaps it's them. I don't know. Take your pick. Perhaps I am just a very difficult person to get on with, I suppose, or maybe just different. I just would call them out. That's it. And this, I found, put me in this situation because, I don't know, I suppose people find it very hard to see themselves, especially from a different perspective. Anyway, moving on. So, particular teachers that really didn't like you, they let you know it, and it was on the verge of being hate. It was hate. And a lot of the time it was like this when I was in this particular room. I've got marking to do in this tone. I've got marking to do. You will not be disturbing me. You know, they felt like it was their time. Oh, poor you. You know, but poor me, but poor you. You know, so fuck it. I'm going to tell you what it is you need to do, and I don't want to hear a sound from you. You're going to get on with this. I'm going to get on with marking. Yeah, just that. And then they turn their back to you, and then they're getting on with the marking, and it's dead silence. Well, I suppose I've got to get on, and there's no conversation. None of this back and forth interaction with other kids. You know, that thing that's very important for children to have. You hear it from social, you hear it from these people, you hear it from the whole of society, and yet you've got some kids that are shut away from all of that importantness for developing. And then I just find you're all a bunch of hypocrites at the end of the day. But then when I call you hypocrites, you try and prove to me that you're not. And I just find that bizarre behavior. I study that secretly. Anyway, gonna get into some. So some of these teachers that came were very bastards. They on the verge of bullying. And one particular incident, I didn't know. For the first time in my life, I went to a school where they did basketball. Never seen it. Didn't even know what it was. Can you believe that? Never heard of it. I wasn't a kid that watched TV, and I had no idea about it. I just heard people talk about rugby, but I never slowed down long enough. I was very hyper. TVs, not much of a thing for me. They weren't. More so now, but when I was younger, I couldn't sit still long enough to actually... The only programs I ever really watch is Are You Afraid of the Dark and Nightmare, but again, very... I couldn't sit still long enough to do... I'd rather be out, alone, doing something, building something, constructing something. And I built a few boats and different things like that when I was allowed out, and that was few and far between. A lot of the time I wasn't. I was confined to my room, and... Yeah, so anyway, so if I was at school, I was confined to a room. If I was at home, I was confined to a room. So that was much of my life for much of it. And you can pick your reasons. There are some valid reasons and there are some not so valid reasons. And on the other side, there are valid reasons and some not so valid reasons. Anyway, people then started making diagnoses that it was E numbers, it was these, and I had a lot of things restricted. So mainly fruit, mainly this. And to be a part of it, large part of it, my teeth were pretty good. This didn't happen until after another event happened in my life. I never had any fillings. The worst I had when I was a kid was had some polish done. That was it. I loved tea, loved honey in my tea. And my teeth were all right. It wasn't until some incident happened where I nearly died that my teeth started breaking down. It was a few years after that they just started fucking breaking apart. So yeah, kind of. I had lots of fizzy drinks as well. Wasn't that it seems to me that it might be related on whatever that was. That was the turning point. I got a twin sister. She had fillings. She had lots of fucking fillings. She had a few teeth pulled as well. So yeah, I don't know, shades of grey with that. Did I brush my teeth? Sure. Did I use toothpaste? No, I used just a toothbrush and water. I didn't like toothpaste. I didn't like the taste of it. It's disgusting. Everything mintness, mint nut, fucking, chalky, minty, sticky. I just didn't like it. And so I used water and a brush. And then we had this teacher once when we were younger. She said, can any of you guess what toothpaste is actually for? Cavities, miss, someone said. Nope. It's for this, this, and this. Yeah, all the fucking labels that you got on it. Prevention this, prevention that. And this nurse said, nope. And I was like, flavor. Absolutely right. Correct. Toothpaste is only made for flavor while you brush. Anyway, whether that's true or not, I don't know. Seems far-fetched. All of us were taught that it was for flavor. That's it. All of that glamorous shit that they put on the product, bollocks. Basically, that's what we were taught. So whether it is or isn't, I don't know. Take your pick. And anyway, so going back to this sort of situation, I never heard of basketball, ever. And then we were sitting in class, and this particular teacher, he just did not like me. Well, I won't name drop him, but I think he knows who he is. He proved this in school reports and different things like that. So there was A, B, C, and D. Well, he had to put in E, an extra category for me. No one else had it, just me, E, because he had to add in It was either excellent, good, average, poor. He put E, very poor. I couldn't do enough for him. I just couldn't. So straight off the bat, it was just never good for me in that situation. And one of the things that really disrupted I lost total respect for him was when he's asking me about, do you even know what traveling is, lad? No. Here, lads, here, listen to this, lads. This one don't know what traveling is. And then he laughed and then everybody started laughing at me, right? I mean, a teacher's supposed to teach you, and that was teaching via ridicule and shaming me in front of the class. And everyone starts laughing. And then he wouldn't leave it. So he kept asking me loads of other questions. And then it was shame and humiliation. And this caused me to get a bit funny, also very embarrassed. I couldn't stand the group after that. And some people that classed them as to be my friends in that situation, I don't know about that. Friends don't laugh. So again, I can't really hold it against the peers because they were being encouraged to do it. They were just following the teacher. But at the same time, from my understanding of it, I did not like a lot of the people in that room. It was very embarrassing. I just wanted to leave. I didn't want to be there anymore, and that was it. It was brutal. And then it was constant Mickey taken afterwards for it, on top of other things. So perhaps I didn't talk too well. I had a very different way of talking to everybody else, so it was highlighted to me. Lots of different things, shadowing and all the rest of it. Hey, don't cry about it too much. That happened, and, you know, that's it. It's all that happened. So there were many other things like this as well, and perhaps my mum didn't buy the best trainers, and perhaps Velcro boy and this, that and the other. And then I was just kind of fucking absolutely just ridiculed for it, probably get a smack here and there because of it. And I don't know, I just found this so awkward to be in. This particular person, it made me bite back at him quite a bit. My questions is teaching in and everything about that. And then I was telling him what to do. Plus I was answering back at you, me lad. You know, the fucking old twat. And you know, I lost respect for him, so I wasn't holding any respect for him. And which then exacerbated his response. But again, I would say he started it, but there again, no, you started it, he started it. Oh my God, we all started it, right? So I didn't help myself in the situation either, but I didn't know any other way to deal with it because I'd never been taught it. It was very new for me in school, this sort of shit. Never heard of it. Knew nothing about football, knew nothing about this, knew nothing about rugby. I couldn't stick it. The one time I actually was watching football was with one of my mum's boyfriends who was absolutely fucking fanatic. Come and sit and watch this with me. Yeah, that lasted like 2 minutes. Like, if that. I was gone. I couldn't. I want to go out. But you want to watch this? What's wrong with you? What is wrong with you? How come you don't like football? I just don't know about seeing half-naked men run around lifting up their shirt after they're kicking a ball around. I don't know. I don't like it. There's something wrong with you. I guess there is. I guess there fucking is. You know, so that's as much as I got. And then rugby was just the saying. It was just, whatever. So I just didn't really, it just wasn't me. I'd rather do other shit that was very odd because it's outside of all of this sort of jurisdiction and shit. This particular teacher, when he came in with all of this sort of shit, and I would answer him back quite a bit, and it was my sister that used to defend me. She's my twin, by the way. He'd make me run extra laps. He'd make me do extra shit and just, it wasn't good enough up to his standard. Everyone else would sit down after they ran one lap. But to him, I just didn't do it fast enough. So I had to do it again. Whilst they're sort of laughing and I don't know. And then my sister kind of just stood up. She did stand up. And she said, why do you continue to do it? She's saying to me, and then he's having a go at her. And then she's like, I would just stop Terry. This is bullying. He's bullying you. Stand up to him. And I was just like, but I can't. I got to do it. And this really frayed. Anyway, I took it out of circulation. And when this particular teacher come in, there was this hatred vibe. I demoralized him, basically. One particular time, I decided to actually go back at him in such a way that left the class laughing at him. And he lost control. And he fucking did not like that. So, again, I started questioning his teaching ability. And I also noticed a few other things with another one of his colleagues, and then began to remind him of this, and that perhaps he ought to keep personal affairs outside of school. This was, I just went back at him, noticed a few things with his behavior, whether it was right or wrong, felt proud in the moment, I must admit. But then this caused this atmosphere when it was just me and him, one-on-one. And he gave this hatred vibe. He was strong as fuck, mate. If you could ever read what people are thinking about you. And then it got me thinking about, is it, later on in life, you look back on those moments and think, is it that you are believing something, or are they actually projecting a vibe around you? And it wasn't until you see, it goes on for a long time with this, until you confront them with what they think, what you believe they think. This creates a fear in them. It's a weird fear. Whereas before, they would sort of target you out a lot, but now when you read them, it changes, that vibe changes, and then they become fearful. I don't know what that's all about. Is it because perhaps you read them accurately, and then there's that sort of, they don't believe in certain things, and it then creates that sort of, then immediately the vibe changed. Then there was a different atmosphere, one of avoidance and one of sort of a bit more hesitant, wasn't so confident anymore, wasn't so self-assured in the approach towards you or how to speak. I learned that pretty early on. Certain other teachers were like it as well, but then when you read them and told them what you were reading, it was like you just violated their minds. That was something, I found that incredibly fascinating. That was, and sometimes this could lead into anger. This really could. Sometimes this would lead into an anger response. So again, years of it, not knowing where to tread. Like I said, sometimes you fall into the shark den, or sometimes you fall into sweet ass rainbows. That side of it is sweet ass rainbows. Why? Because the pressure's all lifted and it's all gone. I've found this fascinating. So, child psychologist, right, gave me an understanding, because to understand why he's here. He says it's to look at people who have got broken minds and then assess whether they are broken minds and whether you can fix them. Right. Okay. I guess that's your way of explaining a broken mind type set. This is how this, and this is going to go. And it's speaking about behavior, but within the behavior, from in your mindset. So asking a psychologist whether they are broken, and whether adults have broken minds, and whether they believe that people have broken minds, but it's not the fact that your mind is broken, being mine. It could be a fact that your mind is broken, but you just don't see it. And there was this particular thing about behavior, and a lot of it had been told about certain sweets, and with E numbers in them. And these all got restricted, and apparently my behavior was related on that. And what do I think about that? And I said, well, it might be true. I said, because if I eat these certain sweets, I can be a different person. And he asked me then whether it was because I believed that was the case. So I handed these sweets out to kids. Some of them, their behavior changed. You could see it. Now, these kids were not told what these sweets were. They were just given sweets. Kids love sweets. Yeah. And none of them would question why they were getting sweets. They just saw that they were getting sweets. Like Christmas come early, right? Yeah. One each and whatever else. Now, some already knew that their behavior shifted when they had these sweets. They became more of what they were and more reckless about what they were. Some of the others didn't change mentally, but their pupils did. Very subtle, but it was there. Well, this leaves a psychologist with a lot of, it's no longer about me believing something. It's now, Do you believe that? It's interesting. I often think back to these moments, and I noticed that the people that didn't react to it usually did as they're told a lot. But I also noticed something else. That these people were highly susceptible to doing things that you asked them. And if I rewarded them afterwards with praise, they did it more. That was weird. So even bad behavior, if rewarded with praise, they continued to do the bad behavior until stopped by someone else who was, then it was about ranks. Some person telling you, being friend, or a teacher telling you that that's not right, created a sort of conflict for a few nanoseconds in their mind.
Yeah.
And then they would stop doing that particular behavior, even if you said it and gave praise. That was interesting. So they pulled ranks. I noticed this. This was a pulled ranks. Did that stop them from doing anything else that you may have suggested? The answer is no, as long as you praised it. And of course, other people would praise it. But they were easier to get back in line again. The ones that took these sweets, fuck me, man. You could never tell them to do anything. They were just fucking... They were gone. This was sweets. These were certain sweets had more of an impact than others. And then it was fascinating because I think it was my brother, my adoptive brother. I'm not allowed to call him my brother legally, but my adopted brother then. No, he's not my adopted brother. He was my brother, but he got adopted, but I'm not allowed to call him my brother. So do with that whatever you will. And I was bollocked for saying it. And I was punished for lying about saying I had a brother when I didn't have a brother, because the teachers would know. I was punished for telling the truth. But everybody thought I was lying, and this was done in front of a whole class. Again, this embarrassment. I did not like school. I hated it because no matter what I did, it was always wrong. And people want to believe, and they create belief systems. I guess that's the answer for it. I didn't know what to label it back then, but I knew that when they thought adamantly that you're a bad person, they kept on collecting data for it. They would...
punishing you.
Yeah, and punish in front of the class, but also use peer pressure to punish you. So teacher that shouts at you in front of a class, that is to use that embarrassment to get you to go back into line. But when a teacher is punishing you for telling the truth but thinks you're lying and is using the class to punish you, do you see how that breaks apart straight away, that you see what they're doing or trying to do? And then afterwards, rather than apologizing for it, they then cover their asses because they're right. That it's because you're not allowed to call it your brother. It being him. Because legally... I'm right, technically, is what they're saying. Legally, I'm right. He's not your brother. But even still, it poses that. And then you made them, I guess, but they did. It wasn't you. You told the truth, but they didn't inquire or pull you to one side and ask about this delicate situation. They knew best and then demanded authority on you, even though they were wrong. And then did it in front of the class, which then when the class finds out that you do have a brother, that under very delicate circumstances, it was all one big fucking joke to begin with. And now it's, ooh, you just put your foot in it. And a lot of people lose respect for you, and respect is then lost of authority. And then they try and save themselves by, stating that they're right. Because it's not your real brother, because he got adopted. So a kid that doesn't understand this very well, and I didn't, it was already a hard situation anyway, and I'm being told that legally he's not my brother. That you're not to call him brother, because he's not. Because that got denounced. But yeah, maybe that happened elsewhere, but I never signed up to that fucking agreement. I was born into it. Yeah. Do you get what this is the agreement was one which was then And then there is the other agreement. And I didn't have backing. I never had a social worker or anything. We all spent time in care. He got adopted. We didn't. And I think it was going to go that way anyway. I think it was erring on the side of that. For whatever reason, you know, it mustn't have been an easy decision to make, I must admit. So, you know, it's not because that's an evil woman or evil dad or whatever. It's just the way it is. Just the way it was. So that's a Tupac song that he used to send me. It was Changes. Just the way it is. It's just the way it is. Things will never be the same. So, you know, these words really fucking... They hammered. And he sent me a load of magazines. I think it was. He gave me a load of football magazines. Fucking Jesus. You're not into this shit as well. Oh, yeah. No, because I wouldn't have got these fucking magazines if you were into them. Pages barely even turned. I bet you got something free in it, that you're after the free bit. But anyway, still, these perfect magazines. I think they came from him. I can't be sure. It was either him or it was something to do with Rolly. He brought them, but I think it was him. I think it was my brother. I can't name drop. Anyway, and or adopted. No, I don't know. Whatever. I don't know what to label him. No one tells you what to label him instead. Do I have to call him by name? I can't say brother. What do I have to say? No one's ever taught me that. They always say that you're not to, or this is that, and just how much disregard they've got for all of those feelings on it, and you've got to lick your own wounds on top of it. Anyway, never mind. So, yeah, he brought me these books about football. Couldn't stand it. But there was a middle page in these, and it was about what drugs do. What illegal drugs do to you, how they affect your body, what part of the body they attack as they go through your system. I couldn't read it for shit, but my sister could, and I could memorize her reading this.
And you could then look at the pictures when
and then I could remember her narrating it. Yeah, so I relied more on memory than I did on filling my memory with words and reading. I can read, but just I don't know, I just found it like so fucking pointless, man. Oh, I really did. I don't know, it just didn't sink in. It was a very difficult thing to grasp the concept of. English is so confusing. I gotta admit, so many different ways to say a word in writing. There and there. Oh my fucking days. Does it really matter? Two, and also number 2. You know, I'm just like, it really doesn't matter. Does it actually matter? You're not here to question it, you're here to do it.
And you have to spell it right.
I went to the shop, spelt T-O, to pick up 2 chocolate bars.
Yeah.
And then some people are like, I can't stand this. And I'm like, why not? Because you haven't wrote the proper 2s in there. And I'm like, you can't understand that I went to a shop and picked up 2 chocolate bars. Now, what does it matter if I write it T-W-O and T-O for to the shop? What do you need? You can't build that information in your own brain? And they say that I'm lazy because I didn't learn to write it that way. And then I'm just like, did you understand what I meant? Yes. Did you build it in your brain? Yes. But it also pisses me off. Okay. So when I talk to you and say I went to the shop and picked up 2 chocolate bars, I never said it any differently, but your brain understands it. But yet when I write it, you've got a problem. Did you hear me say 2 in any different way when I say 2 chocolate bars and I went to a shop? Did you hear me say it in 2 different ways of saying 2? At the time, I was thinking letter 2. Does it actually fucking matter? Really? Does it matter? And then I was over there. Why does it matter if I need there and there and there? And here and here? Hey, I'm over here spelled H-E-A-R. What does it matter? Well, you mean you're over here? No, that's just stupid. Well, you meant it over here as in H-E-R-E. Yes. Yes, that's it. Well, why didn't you spell it that way? Because yeah, I just like the way it looked this way. It just rolls a bit easier. It's like a H with an ear. Then people are like questioning me, and then I'm like questioning who fucking thought this language up. They must have not been linguistical at all. Wait, how are we gonna write here and here? I don't know. Let's just make it with an ear with a H in the beginning. I like it. Now, what about come here? Well, let's write it H-E-R-E. Okay. Now spell Terry. T-E-R. Ter. Hair. Okie dokie. Let's say it slightly different, but it sounds like her. Come her. Now come here. Now maybe that makes sense, but I don't know if it really does, to be honest. I just don't get it. I don't fucking get it. And then whilst we're questioning each other, we're not actually looking at the language and thinking, God, the person that created this language. It's fucking weird, mate. I just find it weird. And then it might make the story not sound right. You're imagining a story, and your story needs to know whether here with an ear or come here like this. And if you spelt it the same way, you can't imagine what here that could be by understanding the imagination is going to be creating this story scenario. And your brain is going to be, I don't know whether to put an ear here or come here. I don't know, I just find it weird. I just find it very weird. I just find this stuff shitty weird. Anyway, so looking at all of these sort of different drugs and shit that they affect you, and they're illegal because they affect your mind, but yet these sweets affect your mind. Actually, they don't affect your mind, they affect your behavior. Mm-hmm. Which again is sociology, isn't it? Taking something and then it changes your outlook.
Comes from outside, doesn't it?
Well, I would have said so. Yeah. Unless you eat something, then it comes from inside. But if you're in the environment, you know, if you were going to school and people weren't laughing at you because you didn't understand something, oh, could someone help this person understand it? You never seen it before? No, I haven't. This is traveling. If you walk like this is travel. But just laugh at the person and then leave them. Your job is to fucking teach.
Yeah, that's not teacher. Teacher is not supposed to do that.
Anyway, neither here nor there, but still, this person generated a hatred, and then I'm the one that caused him a problem. I'm the one that's disruptive. I'm the one that needs to leave lesson. I'm the one that now needs to be sent out. Who caused that problem? He did. But it wouldn't be him. Adults would never look at him like that. You are the disruptive one. Now we're building narrative. Now he's created a belief system, a sociology around this person, and now people have got to find that because now their mind is open. This one has stood out. And while they're looking at you, guess who they're never looking at? The smug grinner over there. Exactly. And then he had a ranking in the particular area, group dynamics, I then learned very early on. He had friends. Mm-hmm. And his friends did a lot for him. Mm-hmm. And then because he's got his ass hurt, and he's got to lick his wounds, and they're like, oh, they're there, they then made me life even more troubling. They continued his boisterous, friend dynamics and these sort of things just caused this situation. And now his friends are saying the same thing too. And then I'm talking to a psychologist that is trying to look at me to find out whether I've got a broken mind. While missing all of this stuff. And I'm asking him whether, do you ever think that you've got a broken mind? There's nothing wrong with my mind. I'm going to assure you on that. There's nothing wrong with it. And the tests also proved it. Perhaps. And then my tests on top of that. Broken mind. Whether I believe this. He's very well informed, this child psychologist. And reverse psychology is there a lot as well.
But that's what
took a
psychologists
sit
often
back.
ask, though.
He once he leant in and it was all this psychological stuff. He then sat back. Then the room relaxed, and then the sociology changed. Therefore, I changed because I could relax in that, because he's now sitting back. Why is he sitting back? Clipboard goes down. This is an interesting sort of thing now. He's now sat back. He's surrendered. I then learned that he's surrendering. This is surrender. Then the legs go out and he crosses them, and then perhaps sits down more comfortably. Now he's listening. Learning, in fact. But while being relaxed. This, surrender. He was surrendering. And I learned this very early on. And the reason why I was asking him whether his mind was broken, because all of the things he's saying about me is what I'm paying attention to over here. Plus with these things that apparently I believe it could be. And then is he believing a narrative that these have told, and then everybody else in the peer group are believing him because he's a teacher, you're a child, I'm right, you're wrong type of thing, you know? And then this group dynamic adds more. Then another one gets added to it. Then another one gets added to it. And then the kids are added to it. The certain kids that find his favorite teacher, which those were the ones that laughed the loudest because you didn't know anything about this sort of shit, which then triggered off bullying. But when I brought out things that were outside of the jurisdiction of sports, they didn't know. So then there was this sort of mind battle. I knew things, just not this. And then everything I said was all denied, until I excelled my mindset of what I did know. And then people look at you like, what the fuck? Then you shatter their belief system. And then this person becomes in denial, this particular fellow, which has learnt this from a teacher, this whole thing. And then it resorts into violence. Then it is because I don't know when to shut up. So I'm supposed to bow down to this, and you can't. Yeah. Then you've got this psychologist come out, and I'm just like, wow, this is my school. This is what I'm learning. This is what I'm understanding, and it was very quick. Hypocrites, one. The crowd always lingers to the other. Well, they're laughing at me 1 minute, and then they're laughing at him, and then the ones that weren't laughing were his favourite. And then this was reciprocated. It's interesting. And the dynamic straight away, divided. That's what it looked like. Not intentional, it's just the way it happened. And then they got psychologists coming in asking questions about broken minds, and then belief into, you know, you could just be believing that this is, and it could be then giving you an excuse. Well, okay then. Here you go. Here you go. Here you go. Here you go. Yeah, these ones are going to react. These ones over here won't react, but their pupils will. So these people here, it's a window into their, just because these kids are reacting, that's a window. And I also noticed that it worked with sugar. I also noticed that it worked with endorphin when they got excited. That was also a reaction, but the outer environment triggered that reaction. So today, kids, we're going to be playing with sandpits. Some kids are really fucking excited. Why? Because the environment's just changed. What's that environment change? We're no longer doing this shit. We're going over to do this. Fun, excitement, environment just changed. And look at this, it changed my mindset. And then people were trying to convince me that psychology is what makes it. And I hear judges ruling on psychology. And then I'm like, man, have you ever paid attention to sociology? No, because we can't see it. We're too busy focused on psychology, and it must be the inner mechanisms of a mind that are making reality. Yeah, that works with ideas, inner mindset, outside mindset, but it's 50-50. We got to shake hands here.
It goes hand in
And
hand.
the outer environment can affect the inner environment, which then causes a ripple that creates the outer environment to become even more distorted. And then good things trigger the inner environment. So once I noticed that these particular, I just watch, just observe, I just watched. And then this particular sandpit and water come out and these kids are getting excited. I just wasn't feeling it, to be honest. Okay, I like touching this stuff, but it made my hands all shitty and I didn't like the feeling. And I sort of did, I still played with it, but it just weren't my thing.
Mm-hmm.
My thing would have been excited if I could undo a load of fucking electrical stuff. Oh, I love that. Fucking pulling apart electronics, seeing why it does what, and that got me. That got me good, but we didn't do that very often. And when we did, it was fucking brilliant. The smell. I just love the smell of all the electrics and shit. That was wonderful. Playing with a sandpit probably wasn't really it. And then this changed the environment. The kids were different. And I was just like, wow, why don't I fit into that? Why can't I get that? But I was just labeling it wrong. I do get that, but in different things. Get wet about electrics. I mean, something like that. I don't know, but And then when the sandpit was over and it went back to the writing and perhaps doing what you had just done, you had to write about it and different things like that. I think I was more fascinated with the way it eroded. Mm-hmm. And when they made something and it eroded, that I was fascinated with. The way the water affected the sand that made it flatten down neatly with erosion, and it just sort of found itself. That fascinated me, that side of it, the science part. And then when the kids then went back to the writing, the blackboard come down and whatnot, and there's another fucking part of it. Then the kids changed, just like that. There was the excitement gone, miserable faces, unhappiness. And I saw that contrast straight away. And people were telling me that it's the inner environment. It's all about the inner. Oh, come on. It's where you come from. It's where I come from. And I've got a lot of data to back up that it's where the environment comes from. This good, this miserable. Yeah. And what's more, it made the kids more grouchy towards one another. And then the teacher needed no effort to keep the excitement was already going in that. And then in this, the teacher had to, that's enough. Then they started talking. Stop it. And then I noticed the kids got really grouchy. Depressed almost. And I was just wondering how that environment flips so quickly just by changing the outside world. And then it affected the inner world, which my life had always been about. The inner world can make positivity in the outer world. Theirs was affected by the outer world affecting the inner world. So the environment affected their inner mindset, and my inner mindset was affecting the outer environment. And then I was just like, wow, what's this shit? And then loads of other scenes affected this sort of stuff. And then I noticed fighting get a lot more. Kids are literally physically assault each other. Like fucking getting to fight. And then I was like, whoa. Even people that don't usually like this sort of thing. And we're all around it, gathering around doing this shit. And then when they break it up, I never found that good. You guys act like this. And then I was like, whoa. Whoa, fucking whoa. Holy shit. Before we go into it, you're a saint. If a fight happens, you're cheering it on. Afterwards, that is disgusting. That's a fucking what? People say I have two faces. You got like three in this moment. You go from saint to little devil and then back to fucking absolutely terrible stuff. Hey, fucking teacher. Saint, demon. What the? Holy fucking shit. That was so quick. That was boom, boom, boom. We got tripolar over here. People are worried about bipolar. Put your checkboards away. We got to pay attention to this tripolar. What the fuck was that? It's so quick, man. All of this shit happens so fast. Well, it don't. You watch it in the moment. It's very slow, but then I'll watch it back later. And then I'm like, I can speed it up then. It's like watching it on fast forwards. How the fuck do things change so quickly? And how much the... And then you got peers and certain people around these people that are like, that was terrible. They were like, yes, thank you, that is very correct. Man, you should have seen them before. You wouldn't be applauding that. I was just sitting there watching it like, whoa, fucking hell. Glad it weren't me. Part of it is like, whoa, what's this whole... First off, you're wondering what people are saying. They're chanting like some sort of tribal people dancing around a fire, getting into an animal spirit. That just happened. Yes. Someone here with a magic wand. Anyway, so this led me to more to behavior and different things like that. Now, fear. Fear is a funny thing. The flashing red and blue. Red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue. This comes from blood. The spillage of blood red. The blue, you can get it where it quickly changes. Some people are susceptible to this. And then cops have it. And also behavior. There is some more with this other child psychologist, but I might go into this on a later date, but maybe not. And the Hertz frequency. Hertz frequency. So cops appear, sirens is a very loud, high-pitched top end of the squealing, which causes fear. And then when the lights are blinking, this is also causing fear because it's red flash, this flash. We tend to calm down with it at Christmas, you know, but again, when you've seen blood, you understand that some people get very fearful with it. It's, yeah, I've noticed this with people in certain situations. I fascinate with it because I don't really tend to have that sort of response to it. I'm very calm in those moments. I see some people really swallowing, and you can see it on their face, although they're, oh, I am calm. They deal with a lot more being talked through it. It's almost like they don't have that part in the brain activate that talks them through it. I guess that's called training. I didn't get trained. You train yourself. I've been around it a lot. You tend to... I don't know. Maybe I was like it once. Anyway. And then there's this Hertz frequency. So top end Hertz, that's a very scary sound. That squeal, that air raid siren, that type of bombs are coming, this is happening, that high squeal. This links into your past, by the way. It's deep. It's ancestral, that squealing sound. Whoa, it comes from something... Anyway, I'll dive into that on another video. I like to leave that one a little bit more because it's still festering. But this is ancestral. And then there's the Hertz frequency that you can't hear when the siren turns off. And that Hertz frequency, I think it's around 2000 Hertz, maybe a bit beyond that. This is played. The reason why this is played at lower intervals, and then cops are like, you look a little worried. Why are you acting fearful? Well, because your cop car is playing Hertz frequencies. They also play this in interview rooms. If they bring people into a station and that, there's a low rumbling Hertz. Mate, this is perfect, man. Because this shits you up. It makes you feel fearful, right? It's funny. It is really funny what you can get. And people go, you must be acting cagey now. Look, you're acting suspicious. Well, yeah. And this one cop sitting there looking at me like this. He's crossed his arms at me and disappointed him. He's gone from peacock to fucking cross, right? You're sitting there thinking, what are you protecting yourself from? You're either disgusted or you're protecting yourself. Oh, yeah? So how come I don't get like that then and I drive around in one of these? I said, because you get used to it. And he looked at me. Side eyes. I almost turned a little bit as well. Side-eyeing. That's deep thought. Depends on which side they go, to be honest. That's side-eyeing. That's very fascinating behaviour, that is. You sort of put their hands to their side after that. Don't know what that's all about. I was expecting it more to go like this. Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's surrender. That is what that is. Surrender. But I don't know. You don't clasp your hands on your head. You put your hands on your head. Usually on top of each other. So that's a bit more relaxed, I think. Locking fingers. You're sort of... It's a soother, probably. But more so hands on the back of your head. You just need to see your hands. Or surrender is usually this one as well. But usually this one. And it's been done throughout history. That's usually it. He's sort of side-eyeing me. Now I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, because you get used to it. You're amazed what you can get used to. Fear is one of them. Different layers in fear. I've done some shit. I have done some shit. Even when I was young, I used to be absolutely petrified of the dark. It was like really bad. Oh god, fucking hell! In a particular children's home, right? There was this It movie, the very first one, and they had paused it right before a fucking scene where the clown. Oh, it's such a delicate child as it was, right? I was scared of my own shadow, and then they fucking went, oh, you gotta watch this bit, the bastards, man. And then they pressed play. Oh, my days, everything in me. My eyes were streaming, not crying, fear. And goosebumps up my body. Oh, my days, it's getting fucking cold, hot, fucking hell. I felt like a woman with hot flushes. I was so fucking scared. I didn't sleep for like 2 weeks, solid. Jesus fucking Christ, man. I fucking... I couldn't sleep with, after that, I couldn't sleep with my back to, I couldn't have my bed in the middle of the room. Do you know that's how fearful I was. I had to have my bed at the back of a wall, and then my back would face the wall, and I was always on guard, and I couldn't sleep. And then I ended up passing out because I was so overtired. It was crazy. And then I got my cat, which we got it given. She was given to us. And then she used to, I don't know, cats can feel, or animals can sense. All of the fucking animals in the end, my room was a zoo. They all come and, you know, that caused a little bit of a rift between me and my sister. How come they never come with me? I was like, I don't know. I just don't know. They just come lay with me. And, yeah, that's when I felt safe. Sort of. And, the irony of it, that this particular cat called Lucky, a bit unlucky in the end, but still, she was called Lucky. This was the one that the cop run over. There were 3 of them, actually. How? I don't know. It just, fucking hell, his kill count for cats was massive. And when I'd lay down, she would pluck the door. I taught her how to knock at the door. That's fucking weird. She was waiting at the door and I was coming home.
Yeah.
I'd been building a boat. Well, actually experimenting with things that floated. And they're not too good at this stage. I remember kept seeing her on the doorstep and she was just sort of tucked under like this sort of thing. You know, sitting there staring at a door handle isn't going to open the fucking door, you dumbass. Yeah, it's just friendly. I love her. And I got on the bottom of the door and I started fucking plucking it like this and she's looking. And then the fucking door opened and I think it was Steve. He opened the door and he was like, "Oh, it's you." And then the cat. And then it just took I don't know, maybe a few days worth of this intermittently. And then all of a sudden she started doing it and she was, what? My mom was, you taught her that? I think so. And I opened the door and then in she comes. And then she learned how to. So this is when I understood that animals can be taught things, even if it was weird. It was like a language that was said in body language. Like I could talk to her and say, "Could you just pluck under there?" And she'd look at me like, "Where? Where?" You know, as cats do. You know, they blink before they blink and then change. Oh wow, everything just changed. You know, that's just sort of the way the cats are. But yeah, it was this sort of sound on the. She hit the metal bit. She didn't exactly destroy a door. There was like this brass metal bit that stuck out, and I taught her to do it on there, and she did. And that's how she used to knock to come in. And then something peculiar happened. I guess that my level of fear was night. And then we had this particular neighbour that used to threaten the ass to kill, and oh my god, they just add more logs to the fire, why don't you? And it just really triggered me up a bit more. And yeah, then this peculiar thing happened where she would, dead on the dot, whether it was late and I was going to bed, she always knew my bedtime. I don't know how she knew it from being, she'd go out and then, you see, obviously, I don't know what she was doing. While she could have been out there hearing on certain cues, heard the word bed, I don't know. And then she'd pluck the door. And there was a few times where it was a little bit late. She was like 10 minutes late. She plucked the door and I was already in my room by that point. And my mum would say, "Yeah, I guess you're gonna," yeah, she's over to the food bowl. She wants some food. She'd eat. She'd go into a litter tray. She'd come out of a tray. I don't know why she never do it outside. She always do come in to go to the toilet and then go out again. Fuck knows, don't get it. But yep, there you are. Domesticated animals. She use a litter tray, dig around in there for a bit, and then ba-dum, 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 up she come. And then she'd jump up on the bed, mowing at me like, I'm here. And then she'd get up on the bed, and then she'd curl into my chest, ball up in there. Because I like fetal position, loved it. And then she'd ball in the chest and feet. And then she'd stay there. And then I'd fall asleep. And she'd get down a couple of times, so Mum would say. But yeah, and then this became routine for her. And even if I come in late, like sometimes I was out, not always, that there were some, bright days in there. She would always come in on those times. I don't know how she knew though. That's the bit I don't understand. It's one thing to be able to read humans. So that's then when it got me thinking back to atmospheres at school, right?
Yeah.
Those atmospheres that we make as humans, and animals are able to read this, but without ever learning the language. They must understand what fear is, but why would they understand that? And then we must be all tuned to the same frequency, but slightly. But to be able to read that, that's one thing. But be able to know when a certain individual goes to bed, what's that? Are we generating something that goes further? Do we connect? How could she know if it was at a different time?
Was not far away, perhaps, I don't know.
Yeah, but then if she weren't far away, how would she know? And if she was far away where she could see the house, could a certain light come on? But you see, I experimented with that. I didn't turn on any light. I had my usual lights that were on, sensory stuff. I liked all of the colourful. I had a fucking great big fucking fibre optic UFO lamp. Oh my god, it was fucking huge. Biggest thing I'd ever seen. Oh, I really wanted it, and I got it, and it was brilliant. And lava lamps and shit like that. I liked all sort of... Lava lamp, too bright. Just too bright. The fiber optic lamp, it was massive. You could get the small ones, and I was like, meh. But then when I saw this fucking thing, it was huge. It was massive. The biggest one I ever saw. And one of those things at Tesla, I don't know what it was called, the lightning inside it. Loved that. Because if you touch it and touch someone on the cheek whilst you've got fucking shoes on, you'll give them a little shock. Did you know that? That's fucking brilliant. I had a fucking great big one of those as well. That was brilliant. I liked that. That was something. I was fascinated with it. And then it broke. And it just needed a fuse changing inside of it. And it worked again. I was like, fucking right, mate. This is brilliant. Yes. I thought it was over then. And it was quite expensive, that one, because it was very big. I saw the really smaller ones. I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. And then I saw this big one. Oh my days. Yeah, I'm gonna get this, I think. I didn't have it all, not really. It was just certain things and they were cheap. But this particular fiber optic lamp, I could help someone put away a storm for like, I don't know, a few Sundays, which got guaranteed to get me out the house on Sunday. And then I got this stuff, instead of cash or anything else like that, Yeah. But yeah, so that was pretty fucking awesome. But how she would know that, I don't know. And then we got a couple of dogs. And then it was a cat, 2 dogs. We were all fucking ploughed into a single bed. Yeah, that was interesting. So, yeah, fucking right, mate. That was brilliant. But yeah, see, and then they seemed to pick up on this. But did they like that? And then it then got me thinking about, we were learning about some shit in school about, I don't know, people eating loads of buffalo or something. I don't know. The teacher was, if he was not getting the first stages of Alzheimer's. I'm not sure. There was something happened where he could no longer do it, but he really wanted to. Some of his assembly stories started he confused certain things with certain, I don't know, just, he said a lot of stories, but the thing is, sometimes he'd miss up his sentences. I don't know. I think it was just natural, to be honest, but he didn't stay that much longer after that. It was quite emotional that I don't think he really wanted to let go of that job. Was it that? Or was it the fact that somebody else wanted his job? And you'll understand that there is a lot of manipulation in the adult world. So, and it did seem like someone else wanted his job, and it couldn't have gone to the most nicest person, and I mean that with the biggest ton of bullshit. Exes. He went to the nicest person you could ever imagine. Actually didn't. He went to fucking Hitler. And, fucking hell, he's brutal. He was brutal. God, fuck, he had a boner for me, I can swear on that. Oof. Ooh, we didn't like him. And, yeah, so... interesting. It got me thinking about, tribesmen and hunter-gatherers. And in all these pictures, they didn't have any animals. But I had a lot around me. A lot. And I thought that if they were living in these times, projecting this fear response, would it not bring other animals to you like a magnet? That they were feeling it too? And did they feel safe around you and you feel safe around them? And you sort of magnetically attract. And then there was this really vicious dog. A neighbor had a dog. He kept it in a fucking... I wouldn't fucking touch him if I were you. He's a vicious little shit. Just fucking Jack Russell. His name was Rook. Yeah, man, he was a bastard to be. He weren't to me. I'd fucking get in there with him and everything. And when he come round, it's like, you're in there. Yeah, I went to go see him to see if he'd sort my passport with me. Yeah, I didn't know anyone else that would. I've known him since I was like, what, this big? So I've known him a long time. And he had another dog as well. That was, I can't remember his name now. And he was, when I went there, I hadn't been for a while. And his dog jumped on my lap whilst we were sitting there filling out these forms and that. And he was like, he don't usually do that. I was like, it's a bit like Rook though. He goes, I was going to say that. He goes, what is it with you and vicious dogs? I was like, I don't know. I don't know. He said, he don't do that with anyone. He goes, oh, you know my daughter's boyfriend. Oh, he fucking hates him. He hates him. And I was just like, yeah, mate. There was a few little jabs at him. It was funny though, but we started to think what it could be, and then we started, teasing. He wasn't there, but behind his back, we were sort of teasing him. Mm-hmm. Which then he probably told him as well, and that's kind of funny. I was expecting a sort of like, you bastard, because it's little banter. We have this banter. I can't repeat what it was because I don't think it's too legal, but we get away with stuff below the bar. Everybody does, I think. Even if the law has changed, it's nothing racist. It's just not PC, I would say, towards one another. But we're cool with it because that's just what we do. And it's funny because we try and think of some stuff that we can say to one another. It's great. That's great. And, yeah, but that dog's pretty... He just don't like people. And then he goes, I was just like, fucking... Just piss-assing around with him. He was pretty cool. And then it made us reminisce to Rook. So he died a number of years ago, and it was just sort of... He was the... His dad was bred, and that's where we got our dogs from. Mm-hmm. Which were Solar and Sky. Which Solar was the most dopiest one out of all of them. Also known as the runt of the litter. I wanted him. He was special. He was so fucking special. He looked dumb as fuck, but he was actually really intelligent. That's the bit that his looks were deceptive. He was pretty damn fucking... He was full game, he was. He just looked dopey, cross-eyed and all that sort of thing. We called him Dopey Bollocks. And Solo, because he used to, if I pulled those voices, all of my pets have had fucking voices, where we sort of talk like that. But that was his. Solo. Sounds a bit like the Stephen King's It, right? And this is how we used to talk to him, man. That was funny as fuck, man. And then he'd just sit there fucking barking and howling, wolfing. And he's just Jack Russell long-legged. He was dopey as fuck. His sister Sky, she was a little bit more. She was a bitch. Not joking. Literally and figuratively, and also attitudely as well. If I moved in my bed, she'd growl at me. Yeah, because she thought it was Solar. He was always top dog, but she would never have it. You know, she kept trying to take it, and then they got into a really big fight one time, and he ripped through her pad. Oh man, there's fucking blood everywhere. When they're fucking going, you can't pull them apart. It's fucking brutal. Particularly before some thunderstorms in summer. That's really when that shit kicked down. So sort of environment, not always, but sometimes. And if they had bones, their behavior was affected by bones. Are they? I can't remember those massive fucking bones, like from a cow, is it? Don't know what they're called now. Marrow, bone marrow, something like that. They had the thick donkey shit inside it. They sit there tonguing that shit out to fucking get your vitamins, friend. Get your vitamins. You get them like fucking 10 of them. And do you know which one they wanted? This particular dog, Sky. She always wanted Solar's one. Then he'd let go of it and go and pick out another one. And then the one that she wanted, she'd then want the one that he had just gone and got. Then he sort of tolerate this for a bit. So their environment was affected by food. Their sociology was food. Not shit out of a dog tin. The fucking canned shit. They didn't give a shit about that. That did huff down. But as soon as you bring out one of those bones or bonio or bone marrow type stuff, that's when it... And particularly before a thunderstorm. I always noticed that you knew when a storm was coming, those two got really weird. Like, she would keep going at him even more so. It got more vigorous. Maybe it was coincidence, but too much. And then he'd fucking regain top dog. It was weirdest behavior I ever saw. Fuck, that was weird. First time it happened, didn't even know what the fuck they were doing. Just this ruckus and shit flying everywhere, and they're just fucking biting into each other. It's fucking mental, mate. There's nothing get rid of them off of each other. You just couldn't do it. Water, mop, fucking their favourite stuff. Nope. When they were engaged, that was it. Nothing else existed. And it would usually sort itself out. She would sort of, cower down, and he would sort of become proud. And then she'd back off for a bit, and then slowly but surely, this was a behaviour. It really kept happening until the point that she got her pad bit. He really did go into her. He'd been holding back quite a bit, and then he went into her, and it cost her surgery. She had to go and have an operation done on her paw. And a few other bits, fuck me, they got fighting. After that, she never done it again. I mean, it probably took that. Fucking hell, scared the shit out of me and my sister. And then Steve got involved at trying to split them up, and they also bit through his fingers. He nearly lost a finger in that. That's fucking brutal. That's why he then afterwards he said that's why you must never try and split them. So, and then then we had to consider whether we should have two or perhaps not, but it was restricting those bones, and I think that sent a clear message to her that he was top dog. I didn't even understand all of this fucking alpha bullshit. I really didn't, but he didn't want it. But yeah, and then it's got me one more, and I'm going to leave it there. Is behavior of people who are big, fucking muscular people. I noticed a type of psychology with this, or sociology. So people are usually sort of relaxed, sort of talking to one another, and then someone joins the group who's really fucking big, right? Muscles and shit. And then the group fucking changes. the dynamic of that group completely changes because the outer environment has changed. And I spent a long time sitting there trying to figure out what's going on here. Well, I think it's because I know I got a few mates that are pretty, and no one wants to get on the wrong side of them. You see, so they befriend him.
Yeah.
They all want to become friends with him because he's pretty.
Yeah.
He's big, so they fear that they don't want to get on the wrong side of him, so it's best they change their behaviour. They can't stick him. But as soon as he comes on the scene, it's the way the environment changes when he's around, and they all try and befriend him. And then I don't know if I look at that. Now, one time we got talking about it. He was saying, well, I kind of like you, TK. You fucking tell me how it is. He goes, most people don't. And I was just like, meh. I was like, because I think it's people that think that you're going to get like this with them if you tell them what you think. Or they tell you what they think about you. And I was like, and then if you're being a twat, I'm going to tell you. And he was like, same for you. And I was like, yes, because I sometimes need it. And then we sort of, get on a good agreement with this. And I said, and the difference is there's no malice in between it. I said, so there's a sort of a ground there. And he was like, I just think that some people just like me because of my stature. I was like, fucking right on. Fucking right on. And it is. Now, I've noticed this a lot with other individuals who's not this particular person, but I don't know, one of my mom's boyfriends, he was fucking big, mate, and he's got some strength there as well, and I just noticed the way people fell in line with him, sort of thing, and they were they lick his fucking ass, because, and I sat there and looked at this and thought, wow, what's this all about? And he was like, because I'm like protection, aren't I? He's like, if they get friendly with me, he goes, to get no trouble in a pub, do they? And I was like, there is that. I was like, you do. And I was like, and then you also don't as well. I was like, I said there was that one time we went out, and then there was some matey. I said, what the fuck is your problem, mate? And he was just like, what? I want to fucking try him out. He looks like he can fucking handle himself. I'm like, man, is this really it? Really? You got to prove to someone that you've got to get fighting with someone who's bigger than you because you got to try him out. I was like, man, and the likeliness of him actually stooping to that when he's sort of looking at me. I know he wouldn't have gone for me because fucking King fucking Kong is standing right beside me, and we was just trying to fucking, socialise with one another, and yet then you've got this particular matey that's just, I just want to fucking try you out, you look like you can fucking handle yourself, and do you want to fucking sort it, mate? You fucking what? That's pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Because that particular guy was so used to dominating the area because he was the biggest person, and then someone who's bigger than him has just walked in, and then the room shifts. He becomes a scrawny cunt in the room like everybody else, and then somebody else who's bigger has just walked in. And automatically, the behaviour has changed. Everyone's walking up to him, all right, mate, all right. You must get fucking tired of this. And I noticed this with a lot of, the more bigger they are, you'll notice that most people who are quite scrawny want all of these people to give them medals, to give them trophies, come with, we are friends, mate, we are friends. But when push comes to shitty shove and that person falls, they're no good. And behind their back, the things they say behind their back is, well, that fucking, I think he's something, doesn't he? No, this person's a fucking teddy bear. Like, fucking, he's one of the most gentlest persons you'll ever meet, to be honest. He's not into any of that scene. If he was, there'd be a problem, but he's not. He's not. He uses his brain, not his stature. He communicates and not violence. He can hold his own, but he doesn't want to go there. That's the sort of... And I find I can relax down around that. This other matey, I would never be able to relax around him because he's so hostile. And before you know it, you can guarantee pretty quickly that we're going to be, if I ever were friends with this person, we can't ever go out to drink because it's all about that sort of...
Yeah.
Some people use their size as power.
Yeah.
It's all bullshit, really, isn't it? Yeah, these people will ultimately, when it goes to fighting, if that's what it's all about. I don't know, there's two types of strength. Physical strength, but what strength? Strength in dominating other people, make them get out of the way because I'm the fucking guy that walks like I shat myself. You know, we can all go to a gym and fucking pump iron and get pretty damn big. And then what happens? What happens if the whole species start working out and pumping iron and getting really big? And then learning how to fight and everything else. What then? Well, fuck me, that pavement is going to be dominated then, isn't it?
Yeah. They will measure each other's muscles, maybe, or something like that.
Well, that's
See
then
who's
when these
bigger.
people don't become a minority, they become a majority. And then there's what? What's it then about? Because usually it's about fucking... Some people are about power and dominating other people. This particular individual is about dominating other people. He's the type of person that walks down the street and you've got to get out of his way. I can't stand dicks like that. I really can't. I'm sorry. I'm just fucking...
I find that
It's just so
that type
unnecessary.
of walk funny when I see that. Like,
All of that power is in that statue, and then I'm just like, sure, life, I suppose, but... And then strength is measured by what they can beat. And then it's like, wow, that's fucking hell. You may have that strength, and then it's like to dominate on other people with that. And I'm just like, wow, that's interesting. And then it's size matters. Size matters. And then they take this attitude in cars as well, by the way. I always notice that. There's different personalities with that, but the people that are like, "Rrr," these particular type, to get into a car with them is one thing and another. You get out of my way. I got a fucking bigger vehicle than you. My fucking car's newer than yours. And then they're just fucking... Yeah, see, told you, get out of the fucking way. And it's like, wow, fucking... Well done, you. It wasn't a he, it was a she with children, and you just rammed them off the road. That's fucking brilliant, isn't it? Good, hope they fucking fall in the drain. It's a ditch, you dickhead. But, you know, still, whatever. I don't know. Don't like it. Don't like that. That's a fucking hell of an attitude, that is. That's weird. And then somebody else I knew that had a 4x4. No, she should get out of my way. Oh, I've got a bigger car than hers. Yeah, but you're driving a 4x4. You do know these things are meant to go off-road. Your car is more capable of getting up that side there than theirs is. Yeah, but I don't want to get my car all dirty. I'd have to wash it. That sounds, yeah, brilliant reasoning, yeah. So you got a fuel guzzler, but you don't ever use it because you might get it dirty. But their car is probably going to get broken and it's going to cost them a lot more than a wash. And I don't know, man. Fucking hell, I've been in some cars with some people. And I've got to look at my own behaviour in that as well, you know. Shit, me, man. That's the fucking stuff, that is. I got a bigger car. Yeah, I don't know. And then the same person is like, I'm bigger. The way she's looking at me, it's like you might as well just fucking said it to them. Show you, right? They can, you know, they can literally hear you say that. I don't care. God, you know, it's a fucking, I got a lot to get outside anyway, and then when you're with people like that, and bless them, some of them are your family members as well.
I don't know, when I see something like that and hear something like that, I'm like, oh my god.
Have you seen what she's fucking wearing? You fucking just said it to him. What are you doing? Shut up. Oh, it's fucking stupid. Yeah. Oh my days. I guess Thumper didn't work well for you then. Can't say nothing nice. You might as well say it to him. I bet that's what you've heard in that phrase, isn't it? If you can't say nothing nice, tell it to him. Have you seen what she's fucking wearing, dozy bitch? Oh my god, I wouldn't come out in those fucking shoes. Gee me, you guys are real bitches, aren't you? I don't get how you do it. Oh jeez me. Well, I'm just being honest. A little too honest, I think. Right, now I've got to look at myself now, because I have really put the mark up there now.
If no one asked for that honesty.
Yeah, I found myself saying this sort of stuff. What the fuck are you wearing? Not out loud, but just sort of inwardly. Did I say that out loud? No. Good. But I can really rub off on you. Do I look alright in what I'm wearing? Yes, you look fucking... Are you fucking vain? No, yeah, I guess I might be. No, I just live with people that are very outspoken is the word. Anyway, I'm going to leave this here because this one's been a right prattle, but still, it's been fun. The behaviour. The last thing I'm going to say, the final thing, is do you think that the brain emits a frequency of around 2,000 hertz when humans get spooked? But the brain starts triggering a frequency. You know your ears produce a sound, don't you? Yeah. Well, we already know this. You've already heard it. I've pushed my ear up a lot of people's ears and then go, listen to this. How the fuck are you doing that? Or say, well, you do it too. Do I? Yes, you do. What the fuck? Like, yeah. Could you imagine if I could put both my ears to your ears? Because it's slightly different in this ear. You're strange. No, we are all strange. We all do this, but I think that I can do it at will. You do it autonomously. Wait, what? You just made less sense than you've already made sense that you can make a sound with your ear. You breathe, right? Oh, I should fucking hope. Yeah, okay, good. But you can force yourself to breathe. Yeah. And then most of the time you're not aware that you are breathing. Right? And now that I've told you this, you're going to take a few minutes before you can actually forget about breathing. Swallowing, blinking. So you got breathing, swallowing, and blinking. Yeah. You're a fucking cunt. Yes, I am. And then if I see him, I'm like, you know that thing about breathe? Just stop it, man, stop it. And I was like, also another thing. Gonna do it? Do you feel a yawn coming in, do you? But yeah, so there you are. So the different frequencies with the ears, also when you're sleeping, you know when sounds drown out, when you sort of get that... your brain is playing another frequency through your ears. The reason why you can't hear, it's not because you can't hear. It's the same way when you imagine things, you have it with the eyes as well. The vision of your imagination almost appears and the reality seems to dim out, and this one seems to brighten. That is interesting. When you look at a bright screen and close your eyes, your brain will play that image on the bright screen, but it will show it in darkness, not light. The light goes around the outside where the object is dark around the outside, shows it as light, and the brightness shows you it as dark. In certain circumstances, if it is too bright that it hurts you, you'll see it as a color. Whatever, it depends on the intensity, you'll see it at a different color, at a different ratio. And we often have a light within us that if it's too bright, this is what makes our imagination. And actually, it's tailored to never be too bright. Because it would scorch, it burn an image into your imagination and you'll never see anything again. Well, you would, but just if it was too bright, it would scorch it too much and you'd get bleaching, so you don't. But you have the same one versus the other reality, and then you can zone out. You can actually be aware of both of them, and this projects out into reality. Used to be more, it's an old thing, bit like your fucking appendix and God knows what else. This thing used to be able to see it a lot in your vision, and then you would focus more on your sight, but you could see it in with your eyes open and you could see it more enhanced. Nowadays, it seems a lot less. Your ears do the same thing. They also listen to sounds, but they also play frequencies. Also, when you're tired, they play more frequencies because you get it when you yawn. When you are starting to fall asleep, they start. One's higher, one's lower. When you get fearful, it hits a frequency of around 2000 hertz. That's interesting. When you're in love, they pulsate at a different level entirely. This is how you know you're feeling in love. You know when people say, I know, I just can't explain what love feels like. It's actually your ears. Your ears are playing a sound. A certain frequency. I'm not sure what the love frequency is, but I know that's why you feel it. You're not feeling it, you're hearing it. But closely connected to, before your ears, you felt. Before your eyes, you saw inward. Therefore, feeling verts to sound. Sound triggers on your feeling as well. So you confuse the two. Inner sight and sight. You confuse the two, right? Hallucinations is forced sight. That brings it out into your reality. Yeah, so like hallucinations on mushrooms, I've never done them. I've only ever heard of people doing them, and I'm like, yeah, so what's that all about then? You didn't tell me what you're seeing? Wow. Yeah, I know, you said it 4 times. What is it you're seeing? And some people have done some acid as well. I don't know what that is. I wouldn't recommend it. Really wouldn't. There are some laboratories you can go to and get it. Yeah. It's probably more of a controlled situation, which I think would be far more beneficial for you. Because they can walk you through it and it doesn't go bad. Some people have it bad, some people have it good, some people are great, some people are not. Doesn't, but still. So that is how ancients used to see, but rather than seeing willy-nilly shit, they were able to see whatever they wanted to. So what they thought they saw in their reality, a bit like a hallucination on mushrooms. That's bleached out and now it's triggered with mushrooms. Or LSD, and there's another one. Anyways, chemical in the brain, forget what it's called. Loads of it gets released sometimes, usually in death. Yeah, I forgot what it's called. Doesn't really matter. And then there's your prehistoric used to feel but not hear. Temples were the closest thing. It's an interesting thing. Certain points on the body, which we call pressure points. They're not really pressure points, they're feeling points. Being able to feel at certain areas, it tends to, nowadays we have to trigger this by pressure in these certain areas known as pressure points. These are actually heightened parts that back in the day when your ears were not developed to hear sound, and you used to feel with these areas in certain pressure points, especially more so on your back than your front. You could look at another pressure point as certain organs. These particular areas, again, is feeling so that you knew when you were connected. Do you get what? It's a weird thing. And your temples were them. So sideways. So it would indicate that you were prey. At one point, you were prey to something and had to be able to see sideways, which was seeing wasn't done in the same way that you think about it. These would feel, and your eye inside would give you a picture of what you were sensing around. Being temples at the side means you were obviously prey, not predator. Eyes is what led you to become predator, not the other way around. It's not like you've evolved from one to the other. This is how I happen to know about the lion bees the hunter so far. But if gazelles started eating lions or killing lions and then eating them afterwards, well, you might as well, no one else. Oh, it's actually pretty good. They'll start to eat it and then they'll evolve over to eating it, and then the lions will, well, those eyes will no longer work anymore. Something else will change. It will begin to change. Because they've got to be able to see wider around in order, because they might be hunted. And then perhaps gazelles might move their eyes forward to better see the... we have them. These are temples. That's what they're for. That's why they're so sensitive. Pressure points are very sensitive, mainly on your back. Stomach, it's another place that's a very sensitive area. And the temples. And this was to help you feel, to see. Now you're able to hear, that helps you see, and seeing helps you hear. Hear a sound, people look for it, but they're actually listening for it. The eyes are just helping to home you in on it. So love creates a frequency which triggers an ancient feeling. And each frequency, fear is another one, which gets you guarded. Then all of you seem to be able to feel a little bit more, and some people are able to duck punches. Have you ever learned to do that before? No, I just ducked. Yes, because your ears fired up, and then your sensors just kicked up for a little bit. Your pressure points, different areas, they heightened for a second. That's what it's like to be primitive. You weren't relying on reflex, you were relying on feeling. And you were able to feel that. I think Bruce Lee would talk about this a little bit. Such a small person, and yet he could pack a punch. So there you are, very interesting. So he learned to feel. And there you have it. So, yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. So when you feel an atmosphere, I wonder if there's more to this than meets the eye. So I think we feel it. Yeah, I wasn't planning on doing any videos today. I've done 4. Anyway, but yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Lovely.